One thing I loved about cars when I was growing up was that a new model was a big deal. Cars stayed the same for years with only the slight facelifts. And now you'd be lucky to see a year out without a substantial change of some sort. And that for me is part of what makes a classic car classic. Cars were given enough time to build a character. People were given enough time to form an opinion, identify with a type of car. And as a result, you can drive down the road in a classic car today and people will have a story or a memory attached to it. And I love that. Only in a world where people have this relationship to cars and to motoring could you put a 5.3 litre V12 engine in anything other than a supercar. This is the Jaguar XJS V12. Not that Jaguar set out to produce anything less than a supercar, of course. The predecessor to the XJS was the E-Type, for some the epitome of the supercar. A series of management changes during the production life of the XJS, together with the privatisation of Jaguar in 1984 during the Thatcher era, meant that the boardroom at the Browns Lane factory was starting to become more businesslike in their approach to cars, and less emotional. A bit of business sense might have been useful in 1973 at the launch, when the XJS was priced at more than £5,000, more than the last of the line E-Types. But as the perms began to unravel towards the end of the 80s, so did Jaguar's reputation for build quality. It seemed that the public had become a bit more businesslike too. Following one of the most beautiful cars ever produced was always going to be a big job, but the XJS fell short. Equally, as a modern classic, it was relatively unloved and sneaked under the radar to become a fully fledged classic car and a good investment opportunity, at the same time making abundantly clear why this car was built for a staggering 21 years. The XJS is intriguing to look at. Not pretty, not very logical, but intriguing. It's a big, practical, powerful coupe with road presence and hidden charm. The class of this Jaguar from Great Escape cars is not in the spec, the lines, or in the driving dynamics of the car, but in the incredible refinement it offered in 1988 and still offers today. Compared to, say, an MGB, the XJS is positively presidential. The V12 engine is nothing more than a soothing thrum, and the road noise quality in here is impressive even by today's standards. The quality and the fit and also the layout of the cabin is comfortable, it's executive, it's very well thought out. And I'm sure while in its various guises back in the day, Jaguar would have preferred to have thought of future drivers comparing this car to contemporary GT cars such as the Aston Martin V8 Vantage, the XJS just didn't make that grade. And so as a classic car, it's very affordable, it's very accessible. It's an entry-level classic with a 12-cylinder soundtrack. You don't get toys like this in an MGB though, and while I'm hoping that it's not as accurate as it used to be given that average fuel consumption, I find it positively entertaining to think about driving around in a world where having an MPG calculator as the main feature of your dashboard was remotely acceptable. It's so 80s and it's so exciting, so exciting. When I was younger, I was obsessed with the D-Type Jaguar. I really wanted a model of one. And for my birthday, my dad handed me a corgi box-shaped present, which was always a special moment. It was an XJS. I never took the XJS seriously as a classic car until a couple of years ago. Now, the funny thing is I do now have my model D-Type. But I'm wondering where my model XJS went.